traveling to Volskaya Industries. Prepare your defenses.
I played Zarya for over 12 hours yesterday. And that's not clickbait. It actually happened. Well, I suppose if you want to be pedantic about it, I played Overwatch for 12 hours yesterday. And 6 of that turned into actual playtime on Zarya, due to things like queue times and, all that fun stuff in between. But, regardless, I played a ton of Overwatch yesterday. And it wasn't the best Overwatch I've ever played, for reasons we'll get into. But before we get into that, let's talk about why. Now, I haven't really played a lot of Overwatch myself for the majority of Season 9 and even a little bit back into Season 8 as well. I started really getting heavily into coaching and analysis starting around November of 2017. And at that point in time, I was still working a full-time job, so the time that I had in my life towards playing Overwatch very quickly shifted over to coaching Overwatch. So Season 10 is the season that I decided to come back and really truly start playing the game again. Now, I understand there's a lot of coaches who are in Diamond, there's quite a few analysts in the actual Overwatch League who are Diamond, and I am fully aware that the SR that an individual is at does not directly relate to how skilled they are as a member of a team in a support staff role, such as coach, assistant coach, analyst, what have you. But I don't want to be that kind of coach. I want to be the kind of coach who is able to maintain Grandmaster on any and every hero in the game. Because theory crafting can only get you so far. Now, you can know all of the stats for all of the heroes, assuming the wiki is actually accurate, which it's not, but that's a story for another time. But nowhere on the wiki will it tell you how buggy Reinhardt's Shatter feels, how annoying it can be when Widow's Grapple fucks up and sends you to your death, or, most recently, Brigitte's Shield Bash. Now, when we were looking at the stats for Brigitte, everyone had varying opinions from underpowered to overpowered. I was the kind of guy who took the middle of the road. I was like, wow, I think they actually had a pretty good starting place for this hero. However, even once we had our hands on her and were playtesting her, in a custom game, all of us were trying out Brigitte's various abilities, animation cancels, combos. The one thing that we all kind of overlooked was the duration of Brigitte's Shield Bash. Now, if you don't know, the duration of Brigitte's Shield Bash is 1.0 seconds, which is 0.3 seconds, or almost 50% longer than McCree's Flashbang is at 0.7 seconds. And no amount of theory crafting in the world is going to tell you how bad it feels to get stunned for an entire second by an ability that essentially can't miss. So, especially as a Reinhardt player, you had to very quickly adjust to, at any point in time, being defenseless for an entire second if your Zarya wasn't Johnny on the spot with that projected bubble. And let's not even begin to talk about what she does to Winston. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that there are a lot of intricacies about this game that a coach or an analyst won't understand unless they're playing the game, not played the game previously. Metas change, playstyles evolve, and you need to keep up with that. So having been a good player in Season 8 is no longer valid credentials in Season 10. Now let's talk about Season 10. When Season 10 had arrived, a lot of people on the stream had been asking for me to play Overwatch myself, which I was fine with. I started out coaching and analyzing, and that is the main focus of my stream. So I was like, sure, yeah, I'll play Overwatch, no problem there. But the two things that I did not really take into account is, first off, the distraction that stream is. It's one of the things that I never do is fully ult track or shot call when I've got stream on. It's very strange, and it honestly gave me a brand new respect for players, any of the top players such as Emong and whatnot, who can play consistently in the 44 to 4500 range while being very interactive with their chats. And the second thing that I really did not expect was the level of skill decay. And I'm not talking about SR decay, where, yeah, you decay back to Diamond, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about legitimately, I am worse at the game now than I was when I quit. Should this have been a shock to me? No. It's one of the things that a lot of people, such as IOStuck, say. You need 10, 15 plus hours a week to not only maintain your skill level, but improve. And I hadn't been putting in 2 hours a week for going on 4-5 months now. But what did surprise me wasn't that my skill had decayed, but how badly my skill had decayed. And one of the worst offenders of this was Zarya. Now, a lot of the other heroes I can get away with by just playing them in a specific style or, cheesing some other part of their playstyle into something that I know is really effective, or if I'm on a support, then I'm going to calm or, do something with those other heroes. But Zarya was an anomaly for me, and after the first, I suppose, 2 weeks of Season 10, I was sitting at an 18% win rate on Zarya. Now, of course, small sample sizes, you could kind of chalk this up to just being unlucky, but it wasn't just that I had an 18% win rate on Zarya. I legitimately felt like I wasn't having any impact or I wasn't useful at all in the games that I was playing Zarya. And this was really getting to me because Zarya used to be one of my strongest heroes. So the first thing I did was, of course, I do it every time, I just go watch the streams of semi-pro and pro players to try and dissect the differences between their playstyle and my playstyle. And I was absolutely convinced that it was the change in meta between Season 9 and Season 10, as well as the introduction of Brigitte, that was causing me my issues. I felt like I wasn't quite handling Brigitte properly, I wasn't playing around Hanzo properly, maybe it was something to do with that. But when I was watching these streams, I wasn't noticing any playstyle differences between myself and how the semi-pros or the pros approached Zarya. I had some, I suppose, overextension issues where I went more aggressive than I could and was getting punished by Brigitte occasionally, but the overall playstyle and thought process that went into the game, I felt was similar. There were minor differences here and there, but I felt it was similar. And I knew I had some minor mistakes in my mechanics, for example. My bubble usage wasn't great and things like that. But I didn't think that those errors would be on the level of causing an 18% win rate. And honestly, this is one of the most frustrating situations that anybody can find themselves in. The point where you know you're not winning, but you don't know why or what is the cause of not winning. And one of the things that I talk about on my stream quite frequently is that there's about a third of your games that you just simply cannot win. You've got throwers, you've got toxic people, whatever. Then there's about a third of your games that are completely unlosable. You have a smurf, the opponent has a lever, something like that. And it's the final 33% of the games that you can truly have an impact over. That's kind of just a general rule of thumb. If you're anywhere near your actual elo, your win rate should be somewhere between 40 and 60%. Something like that. But following my own rules, if I have a win rate of 18%, that means that I was making some of those unlosable games losable anyway. So a win rate this bad when I am not throwing means that I have a critical error in my gameplay. And not being able to identify that gameplay error after research was quite alarming and jarring. And so started the quest to get less shit at Zarya. I'd done my research, I'd done some preliminary investigation into what I could be doing wrong, and so the best thing that I thought that I could do to improve my gameplay was just get down to it and grind out some Zarya games. Now, I did this on stream, which, in retrospect, might not have helped, but either way, some of you guys had fun following along in the depths of despair. But yeah, we played Zarya, and yeah, this loss streak continued. We only had like 7 games, I think it was. 7 games when we had the 18% win rate. But then as I kept going, I kept losing and kept losing and kept losing. And I think at the worst point in time, we were down 400 SR, and we had a record of 2-17. So I had won 2 games, and I had lost 17. So at this point, we're beyond any reasonable doubt that this is anyone's fault but my own. And about this point in time, when we were at 2 wins and 17 losses, I finally identified the first major error in my gameplay. And this was compulsively reloading. And I don't know why, I was doing this. I honestly don't. It reminded me of another error that arose in my gameplay after having taken a break from playing Winston, is that when I came back to playing Winston after a break, one of the things that I was trying to do is place my shield barrier too early after jumping in, and I wouldn't have waited for the melee cooldown to finish. So, jump in, I would cancel the actual landing pad with my melee, and then I would try and place my bubble immediately, but you can't place bubble during melee's animation, so my bubble wouldn't drop, I would die. And I never had this issue before, but after having come back to the game, for some reason this arose in my gameplay. And the same thing was happening on Zarya, where if I bubbled, I would reload. If the opponent bubbled, I would reload. I would, reload before walking around corners. I was just constantly reload. I'd only use like 20, 30 of my ammo, and then I'd reload. Just for some reason, always reloading. And one of the other things is that I would never ever drop a right click before I reloaded. So it would have made it a little bit less worse if I had, dropped a free right click before reloading, but I wasn't even doing that. If I did ever use my full ammo, wasn't right clicking to finish those off. So the first kind of error in my play came down to ammo management and compulsive reloading, which was very strange to me. I was expecting a much larger issue to be one of the main causes. So at this point, I started experimenting with being a lot more efficient with my reloads, to the point where I literally unbound my reload key for 4 games. Just to kind of get in every time that I reloaded, it would just be a conscious thought, should I have actually reloaded there? And, if you press the button and it doesn't happen, it kind of just like shakes you a little bit. From that experiment of unbinding my reload and trying to use all 100 ammo in my gun repeatedly, I came to the conclusion that yes, about 80 to 90% of my reloads were complete shit. So this kind of started the journey of improvement. We had lost 400 SR by this point. I think the lowest we got down to was 3560. So we actually almost touched Diamond, which is hilarious. I haven't been there since season 3 or something like that, but we almost hit Diamond. And then we finally started identifying errors. And as we started working our way back up, more minor errors started to appear in my gameplay. One of the other things that I tried correcting was early on in the gameplay session, I had been very aggressive, trying to build up my energy to the point where I was wasting bubbles. Both when I was at low energy and after I was at high energy, I was using them kind of to maintain the 100 energy, even if I was already at 90. So later on into my gameplay, I started using my bubbles a lot more sparingly. I was farming energy with my personals and then using my projecteds for life-saving situations. This led to a huge increase in win rate across my games, but a dramatic decrease in my overall energy as well as my damaged block stats. So it was a good temporary band-aid, but overall I don't think that playstyle is going to be able to carry me back into Grandmaster on Zarya. So the next time I play Overwatch and play Zarya, I'm going to try and find a little bit more of a middle ground, using a projected bubble very early to generate energy, but then using them after that once I have gotten myself above 50, 60 energy, simply for life-saving situations. And this is honestly no change from how you would have played her previously, Season 8 or Season 9. It's just kind of a good reminder, after having not played the game for so long, how cockiness can really get yourself punished. Now, I know that a lot of people were, I suppose, worried about me and a 12-hour play session. I'm aware it's not healthy. Even today, I feel like death. And a lot of people during the stream were saying I should stop, I should sleep, I'm playing tilted, this isn't how you win games, and they're absolutely right. That's not how you win games. I wasn't communicating because, honestly, communication for me is a crutch. It's how I normally do win games, is through shot calling and whatnot, but I wasn't trying to improve on my shot calling, I was trying to improve on my individual Zarya play. And the goal of the play session was to identify the errors that I need to fix in order to actually start winning games again. So during this play session, yes, I lost 400 SR, but I've said it once and I'll say it again, I think that ranked is a practice mode. You need to practice in ranked to figure out what works and what doesn't, and that's what I was doing. I was practicing Zarya so that I could improve on Zarya. I wasn't throwing, I wasn't tilting, I wasn't flaming, I wasn't communicating. I was focused as well as one could be for 12 hours in a row, trying to improve on my Zarya play. And even today, looking back, I got a lot of good information. I found a lot of mistakes, way more mistakes than I was initially expecting, that I can fix in my Zarya gameplay, and when we come back at it next, we can start adding these things back into the game, especially communicating the projected bubble so that my Reinhardt, if I do use a projected bubble trying to farm early energy, doesn't go overly aggressive and get stun bursted by a Brigitte. So, would I recommend this to other people to do? Good lord, no. Please, please don't do this. It was fueled by frustration. I won't even say anger. A frustration in being known as a coach or an educator within the Overwatch community, and then being unable to perform myself when I am supposed to be teaching other people how to improve and reach these ranks. If you did catch the stream or any part of it, I do apologize for the lack of education, entertainment, and positivity throughout the stream, but I think it was necessary and was a good wake-up call to me as a person. I'm just the same as everybody else. I've got room to practice and improve, and hopefully as I continue this journey in becoming less shit at Zarya again, then you can kind of follow along and see how I work at improving myself and the ways that I go about improving my Zarya play. In the upcoming days and weeks, there are going to be some people who have volunteered to help me out with my Zarya play, so I'll try and do some of that on stream so everyone else can follow along and kind of see the whole route and path to improvement through the course of Season 10. I hope you enjoyed this video, a little bit more of a monologue, I suppose, but one that I suspect a lot of you may have been interested in watching. I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Wow, nice hit!
I can't!
Complete.
Watch this.
Score 4-5. Switching sides. 2-1. Attack commencing.
Welcome back to the voice channel.
Capture objective A.
They're probably
Running dog.
something
Going
cheesy.
Inside anti-bar. Behind, careful.
Going for a hook shot.
Oh, down. Down. Down.
You can go heal.
What the fuck, Miro? Thanks, Bobs and Stone Barbecue for the prompt subs. Zarya's sick, you got this. Thanks, bud.
Objective A captured. Commence attack on objective.
Winston David left side with a Brigitte, Messi right side.
Oh, behind, press the end. Press the end. Okay. Behind the T-bar. 4 point.
How many you want?
아, 다 붙었어.
Even one?
Kill me. Kill me. Kill me, kill me, kill me. Thank you. 안 맞네? Wilson dead.
Nice, good game.
GG.
Oh, GG.
Well played, everyone.